Alrighty, I think it's time to go ahead and cover one of our lovely, lovely mainstays of the channel, Fox News. Now, if you're not familiar with Fox News, well, that's the best way to put this. They suck. Okay, now that I've officially poisoned that well, let's... Wow, that was a snort. Wow, that is not something I wanted caught on camera. Well, I guess we'll just do the rest of the video like this, then. We can't go back. We're already here. Might as well go ahead and get into the fan art section. Jesus. From Sirical, they said they drew this during their breaks at work as a Walmart employee. Might add more to it or color in the future. Went for a creepy vibe, but then again, they just got into detailing their art. I'm gonna be honest, if you went for a creepy vibe, you got it. We have a very slithering reptilian Suris going... something scary. This is terrible. I'm gonna see this in my nightmares. This thing is gonna stalk me the same way Sam Cedar stalks Steven Crowder in his nightmares. Jesus. Also, Lordcaster, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. Owl. Alrighty. As always, thank you for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is dropping it into the fan art section of the Discord server. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about Martha McCollum. And, well, oh boy, that's gonna be a copyright. Nope. Nope. Not that one. Nope. Nope. Alrighty. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and see a Fox News host be an absolute ghoul.
You've got people...
Oh boy, that's loud.
People earning $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year getting assistance for these universal basic income ideas. You know, child care, child tax credit. Actually, my favorite one, if you're earning $800,000 a year and you buy an electric car made in America in a union shop, you get a $12,500 tax credit if you're making $800,000 a year. That's nonsense.
Yes. So why are they throwing all this?
Wait, how is that nonsense? That's literally incentivizing people to do things that don't fuck up the environment more. Like, granted, at the end of the day, catalytic converters do help cars not produce the same amount of greenhouse gases that they would otherwise, and it's one of the reasons why, especially where I live, we have to make sure that we have those things up to date. Emissions checks are a thing. But honestly, the idea, the point of universal basic income programs of any kind is that they are universal. They are there for everyone. If you make $100,000 a year or you make $0 a year, the idea behind any universal basic income program is that you have it, period. Because there is no guarantee that you will have that $800,000 a year job tomorrow. There is no guarantee that things will not bottom out from you tomorrow. Now, granted, tax credits are not universal basic income. Food for children in schools is not universal basic income. So it feels like he's fighting against a straw man anyway, but I did want to point out that there is no insanity in the universal part of universal basic fucking income. Okay, continue. Let's listen to the old people get mad that kids don't starve.
It's money towards rich people. When they say that that's the last thing that they want to do, is my question. This is from the Wall Street Journal, and this is another example of what is in this bill. Okay, when you actually look at what they want to give away, it is absolutely extraordinary. So a new parent earning $200,000 a year could be eligible for more than $1,000 a week for 12 weeks every year. So $12,000 every year from the government.
Okay, so here's the thing. That is pay being given to people who just got a child. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. If I make $200,000 a year, which I don't, boy howdy would I be having a different house if I did. But let's assume that I did, okay? Let's assume that I made a 6-figure income. If I made a 6-figure income, and Raz and I had to take time off of our jobs to support a child, what would happen? Hear me out, hear me out. What would happen to our jobs? Well, if they're not salaried positions, we're not working there, are we? And if we're not working in those salaried positions anymore, I'm going to turn this down. I feel like copyright's going to smack me in the bottom. But if we are not working at that time, then what problem is there in us receiving some type of stipend to guarantee that we do not bottom out and under? Now, let's ask another very important question here to our lovely Fox News hosts. They're getting mad at the people who are making $200,000 a year and getting extra money, is what it seems like. That's what seems to be communicated to me right now. Now, I have a question. How many people in the United States make $200,000 a year and higher? It is not a huge amount. In fact, the vast majority of the population survive off of far, far less than that. So if you get pissed off that, oh no, rich people got a little bit of extra money from this UBI bill, if UBI is in fact what we're calling it, guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is it's helping more people than hurting. It's not hurting the people who already have money, and it's not hurting the people who are poor and need a hand up. I do think chat's right that this is poisoning the well so that they can piss on people who make more money so that they can inadvertently let that piss trickle down onto poor targets. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's go ahead and continue the Fox News presentation.
Somebody has to pay first, and the government's supposed to kick it back to them. No matter if that person is married to another 6-figure earner who also claims to leave. So a couple that earns $400,000 a year could essentially get $24,000 covered in family leave.
Which
Cool. And who the fuck cares? Seriously, who cares? Who fucking cares?
any normal person
Appeals to common sense are not actually, like, good appeals. Don't start.
knows is nuts. Absolutely nuts. All right? It's not even in the ballpark. And Manchin, you know, even though he's been a senator a long time, he's close to a normal person. And he comes from a working class state like West Virginia. And don't forget Sinema. Don't forget Sinema. She's been quieter. She hasn't put out. She just came out against raising the corporate tax, which is fabulous because the corporate tax hike will damage blue-collar workers. Mr. Manchin.
No, it won't. Corporate tax hikes will not damage blue-collar workers. This idea that corporations should not be taxed more because that hurts workers is bullshit. The reality is, in times past, we taxed corporations much higher, and what they did is they spread themselves out more in an attempt to fix their taxes. For instance, if you opened up a new location and you employed more people through that new location, that counted as a tax break on your corporation. And in so doing, it meant that taxing the corporation more made them make more money. Please, I want you to consider this for a fucking moment. And it's very important to consider this. Anytime somebody freaks out about corporate taxes, oh my god, what if they get taxed more? Won't that hurt workers? No, it literally can't. Would you like to know why? Here, I'll tell you why it can't. Taxes are on profits. Profits are taken out after overhead. Workers' paychecks are taken out before the profits of the industry, of the company, are calculated. Now that might be something that you didn't know. But you're not taxed on every dollar you make. You're taxed on your profits. I know this because I have to tax myself. Because I work for myself. And here's how my taxes work. We figure out how much I made, And then we figure out how much I spent, and that has to get cut out first. So any money that was spent on the internet, any money that was spent on items for the office, any money that was spent on snacks and drinks for the office, any money that was spent on upgrading computers, anything like that, all of that is factored into taxes. Because those costs have to get taken out before your profits can be calculated. Corporate taxes don't hurt you because corporations will find ways around those taxes. They can either flush that money down the drain in taxes, or they can expand their business in such a way that allows more workers to get jobs, therefore avoiding more of the taxes. And by having more workers working for them, they inadvertently make more money by expanding to more locations. This has been what happens in the past, classically, when we have tax corporations hire. Dinguses like this are not actually arguing in favor of blue-collar workers. They're arguing in favor of lobbyists. They're arguing in favor of people who make more than six-figure incomes. Entities that are faceless in all but the fucking person you throw in the front like Steve Jobs. He is sucking their corporate cockles and then trying to say, oh, I'm really doing it to advocate for you, the blue-collar worker.
Not quite so good on taxing as he is on spending. But here's the thing. This reconciliation bill, as we know it, in my judgment, is dead, completely dead. Now, they'll vote today, I think, in the House on the infrastructure bill. That's a different animal. That's going to be a close vote. Some Republicans will desert, and some left-wing Democrats will desert.
Do you think there'll be Republicans who, when the progressives leave, can Nancy Pelosi get 10 Republicans on infrastructure?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
The Republican whip's office is whipping against it. But now that it's independent, I mean, now that reconciliation is dead, maybe. And by the by, if you do pass the infrastructure, you know, that could be enough. A lot of people will say, moderates will say, all right, we did this
win.
right.
That's a win.
$1 trillion plus last winter we did $2 trillion plus last year we did $5 trillion. It's enough already. And the idea that free lunches can buy votes, I mean, that may have been true a long time ago. That may have been true during the worst of the pandemic. It's not true anymore.
Wait, what is he meaning by free lunches? I'm curious by that one.
I mean, my argument is all those people you singled out making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, they don't want it. You're giving them stuff they actually don't want, and they're not going to vote for it because they understand deficits and the Federal Reserve's creating too much money.
And that
No, they fucking don't. Not everybody who makes a lot of money understands jack shit about their money. That is giving people way, way too much credit. Not to mention, just to throw out there, maybe Dude Bro here did not understand, but people who make $200,000 a year do not make up a significant amount of the voting force. That is an income that is not held by the vast majority of people who vote in America. This feels that, now, maybe I'm wrong, but this feels like the way that I would present a problem to somebody who was working class, and instead of showing them that their boss, like they're the CEO of their company, the owner of their company, is the person they need to have a grievance with for any financial problems they happen to run into that are not based on their own problems with spending. This feels like what somebody would do if they are trying to pit workers against each other. When you are trying to pit workers against each other, merely for some of them making more money than others, which can be dependent on a variety of factors, instead of having your workers unite and unionize and advocate for each other's better pay, you get to win an entire fucking battle for your corporation. Individual workers aren't shit to corporations. Unionized workers are a threat to corporations, and by having workers care more about the $200,000 people that are working at their company instead of the actual owners of their company, well, it's a whole lot harder to get them to work together. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this isn't an actual divide and conquer strategy for workers. But were I in his shoes, that's what I would do. I would get the $30,000 and $40,000 a year workers pissed at their bosses making $200,000 a year instead of having those two people work together to unionize against the actual owner of their company. That's what I would do. Just saying.
Taxes are going to go up, and they'll have to pay for it somewhere else, whether it's inflation or rising taxes.
That's
you might get $12,000 back, but it's going to cost you more than that.
That's correct.
In the end anyway. And
how is it going to cost you more than that in the end anyway? Taxes and inflation and all of that, they're all going up irrespective of what gets done in the fucking government. I'm sorry. It's like anybody that gets mad about a raise in minimum wage and says, my inflation. Bitch, inflation has been happening irrespective. We need to have funds for people who are trying to purchase goods, services, and etc. go up in tandem with inflation, but instead you get people who twiddle their thumbs and go, no, don't get workers more money. That would be bad. Inflation bad. No.
I think a lot of people are smart enough to figure that out.
You've become I love this, a total supply sider. I love you.
Well, you know, to me, it's a common sense argument.
Yeah.
And
I'm so tired of common sense arguments. Common sense does not mean correct. Common sense just means based on your series of prejudices you brought into the conversation. That's all it means. I know that there's a lot of people, especially blue-collar people. I'm not trying to say that they're dumb, because they're not. Skilled workers are not dumb. They're fucking skilled. But it is so common for me to see, oh, this is just a common sense argument. This is a common sense thing. And people are like, yeah, that makes sense. No, it fucking doesn't. Common sense does not mean what you think it does. Stop.
And I think you're right.
Yes.
One of the things that kills me is that now that, there's a free lunch program in New Jersey, and it's for everyone, even if you don't need help to send your child's lunch to school. So it's about kids. It's about kids. Wait, that makes it work. What? No, wait, no, hold on. What? No. This was about kids? This was about kids the whole time? This was about saying kids should not have free school No! Kids should have free school lunches. If parents want to pay money into it, they can. It's up to them. But no, kids deserve food. Kids deserve to eat, you numbskulls. What? I thought this was about $200,000 a year earners, not kids who earn zero. A free lunch program is not a problem for a kid who earns $0 a month. Kids don't earn money. Not in the same way that their parents do. They deserve free fucking lunches. There's nothing wrong with that. For many kids, it's the only thing that they get when you say, oh, this free lunch program should not be here for everyone. It should just be here for people who desperately need it. You have people who happen to be in unique circumstances who might be making enough money to where they're not able to be part of one of these programs, but their money has to go elsewhere, so they can't actually use that money on their kids' lunches in the same way that they would like to, or the same way that they would need to. There are unique circumstances that are not considered when you set up, what are they called, means tested? I forget what the actual word is. I think it's means tested for shit like this. That shit doesn't actually work. There's nothing wrong. Means testing. Okay. There's nothing wrong with giving kids food. Fucking conserva Karen. So those kids are all going to grow up thinking, well, lunch is free, right? And then God help the person who comes along and tries to take that away, Larry. You talk about free lunch. I mean, that will...
Yeah. Fuck the person who tries to take free lunch from kids. Yes, exactly. Fuck that person. Whoever that person happens to be, they're a ghoul. Like, you.
Never, once that happens, right? Once it's baked in there, it's never going to...
But it's important, what you said. You're going to pay for it with higher taxes and higher inflation.
Inflation always goes up anyway. Taxes goes up anyway. These things go up irrespective. Shut the fuck up. There's nothing wrong with giving food to kids. Jesus Christ.
And I think most, again, common sense Americans know
No, they don't.
this is not right. They don't want big government socialism. They don't.
That's not socialism, you absolute fucking clown. Socialism is when the workers, the proletariat, own the means of production. Giving food to kids is not socialism. Socialism is not when the government does stuff, and when the government does a lot of stuff, that doesn't make it communism. Holy fucking Christ. This will never end. This demonization of what that term means, what socialism means. I don't understand why it will... I know why it will never end, because it is good for ratings on Fox News Network. Like, seriously, I'm okay paying more taxes if it means that kids can eat in fucking school. I don't care. Raise my property taxes so that I can pay more, so that kids can eat. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with children eating on my dime. I'm alright with that. I don't fucking care.
Want a welfare state we're all dependent on. The Democrats didn't win this during the election. They didn't have a mandate to do this. They way overstepped, and now those chickens are coming home to roost. Wow. But the good news is we're going to pause the big bill, and I'm in favor of that because I believe in saving America.
We will see if Larry Kudlow is right on this.
Save America and
several
kill
hours
the bill.
left in the day.
Saving America and kill the bill. Boy, look at these snappy slogans. So I have a friend, okay? A friend's a Republican, and he says weird shit like Democrats want everybody in office to be flushed out and replaced with new people, like from the top down. And I'm like, I don't know many Democrats that want the government to do shit like that. This weird... I understand where weird ideas like that come from when I watch segments on Fox News where they find ways of blaming people who make six figures a year but are still nonetheless workers. They find ways to make you blame them for your problems whilst also saying your children should not be able to eat in school for free when school is something that is paid for by your tax dollars. This is insanity. There's nothing wrong with feeding children. There's nothing wrong with kids eating. And it felt earlier on in the segment like they tried to make the argument that, like, oh, well, if you teach kids that there's a free lunch, what happens when they're an adults? The fucking... all lunch is free to them as a fucking child. They don't have to pay for their fucking lunch as a child. Their parents do that, you numbskull. How hard is it to understand that to a child, for the majority of their life, with the exception of allowance, generally speaking, things are free for them because they are paid for by the parents. Christmas gifts, schooling, fucking food at school, dinner on the table. These are things that the child generally does not have to earn. Because they are a child, they're a dependent. People are at the very least smart enough to understand that when they stop becoming a dependent, then they have to earn an income of some kind in some way. People understand that. It's not been a problem. And yet, people on Fox News want to convince you to say fuck feeding children in school because one day they might think that they can get a free lunch after the age of 18. This is not sound logic. This is just pain. But I gotta throw it back to you guys. What do you think? I am just flabbergasted. Just flabbergasted. I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Let me know down there what you think about this conversation here with Marco McCollum. I just don't even. If you want to support the channel and what I do, there's many links in the description to do so. You can check out my merch store. You can check out my Patreon. Any and all of that is down there. If you would like to support my channel and you don't have any monetary ability to do so, then your subscription, your view, your like, sharing this video on social media, all that stuff helps out immensely. But more importantly than any of that, guys, just go eat a cookie. Go do something that makes you happy. As always, everyone, insert end a video tagline here. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. If you want access to behind-the-scenes content for the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon. I do weekly vlogs over there, where I give real-life updates to what's going on behind the scenes on the channel, stuff that you don't really get over here, and even on Twitch. Patreon also helps the channel's stability a whole lot. Without Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do this at all. Especially with the kind of content that I do, neither YouTube nor Twitch are the most stable sources of income. If you are a $20 and up patron, then you will be featured on the ending slides as shown in the beginning of the end credits. If you want to catch the streams where all this content comes from, then consider heading over to Twitch and following. And if you want to continue watching over here on YouTube, maybe consider clicking one of the end screen videos. And once again, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me over on my channel. I wouldn't be able to do literally anything that I'm doing over here on YouTube without each and every one of you. So, thank you.